of this. Well, Rob, let's hold, and we're going to dip in on NBC News coverage with Pete Williams, who has a development on all of this vis-a-vis the Al Qaida terrorist group. Pete?
In planning further terror attacks against the United States. Now, according to a nationwide law enforcement bulletin just out today to the nation's police departments, he's identified as Adnan Shukrijumah, age 27, thought to be from Yemen and possibly Guyana. But law enforcement authorities fear he is, in essence, another Mohammed Atta. Atta, you'll recall, is the man that officials believe was the top planner of the September 11th attacks on New York and Washington. Now, this law enforcement bulletin that has gone out today to the nation's police says that the U.S. has information indicating that he may be involved in an Al Qaida terror activity or terror activities and may pose an imminent threat to U.S. interests or persons worldwide. That is, both against targets here in the U.S. or American targets overseas. Now, the bulletin says there is no specific threat attributed to him, but they believe he's very much a key planner, and they're learning more and more about this man as the days go by, and have just recently discovered how important he may be. For example, he is thought to be a trained pilot, and in fact, one of his Arabic nicknames is Jafar the Pilot. U.S. authorities believe he was in the United States after September 11th, after the 9/11 attacks, and they don't know where he is. He could be here, he could be anywhere in the world, and they're hoping that they'll get cooperation from law enforcement authorities worldwide in trying to find him. But they put a very high priority on finding this man, Shukrijumah, because he is a potentially key figure, they say, in any further plans to attack the U.S., and they say this information has been verified by captured Al Qaeda operatives who've been interrogated by the U.S., Tom.
Pete, let me ask you a couple of follow-up questions. How do they think he got in here in the first place?
They think he got in, well, he tried to come in legally. Now, whether he actually did so legally or not, they don't know, but he travels with a multiple number of passports from Canada, from Guyana, from Trinidad, from Saudi Arabia. He has a long list of aliases, and they say he is a very good English speaker. One investigator told me today that he speaks English with no Arabic accent whatsoever, and so he is adept at passing as someone from various parts of the world. So it's believed that he traveled into the U.S. Whether he did so legally or not, I don't know, because I don't know if he was using a legal passport and his real name at the time.
And Pete, he sounds pretty radioactive to me. Have they not been aware of him before?
Williams, breaking this story today about this Adnan Shukrijumah, and before we can talk to Pete, I'd remind our audience that General Wayne Downing's last job was as the President's chief counselor on terrorism. And General, this character was familiar to you. Tell us about him.
Well, certainly him as an individual, but he with that capability. I think we've made a lot of changes in our air system, as you well know, inside the United States. It's very tight overseas. But I'll tell you an area that we were concerned about, and I think we're still concerned about, and this is charter aircraft and private aircraft. I mean, we have almost 500,000 private airplanes and pilots in the United States. We have a lot of charter aircraft out there. While we've got great controls over the commercial airliners, the freight haulers, one of the concerns is how do you control this guy at some small airport? You know, we've got thousands of airports around the United States.
Most of them you can walk right on.
You can walk right on. You have to present a license in order to rent an aircraft. But if you've got that pilot's log and you've got good forged credentials, you can theoretically get your hands on an airplane. And so that is something we are all concerned with. Now, this is not going to be a 757, but certainly you could rent a twin-engine commercial aircraft, and you could put a pretty good load on that. And so we are concerned about that, and that is one of the vulnerabilities that I think the Homeland Security people are trying to fill right now. So this is I think it's very significant that they've aired this threat. I would imagine that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed could well be the source of this information. and that's why they're taking it so seriously.
We now have Pete Williams available to talk to us, who just broke this story, as we saw on the NBC television network with Tom Brokaw. And Pete, what I missed at the top was the connection, that the meaning of breaking this story today. Is this connected with the war?
No, I don't think it is, Brian. It is more connected with getting out the word as soon as agents discovered how important this man is. Now, let me go through this with you. He is thought to be a top al Qaida operative in the U.S. who could be involved in planning further attacks against the U.S., and the information we have comes from a nationwide law enforcement bulletin that's just been sent out today to the nation's law enforcement departments. You know, law enforcement, it's called a BOLO, be on the lookout. And the man is identified as Adnan Shukrijumah. He is 27 years old. He is thought to be from Yemen or possibly Guyana in Africa. But law enforcement authorities fear that he is, in essence, another Mohammed Atta, the man who was thought to be the top planner of the 9/11 attacks. Now, this bulletin says that the U.S. has information indicating that he may be involved in al Qaida terror activities and may pose an imminent threat to U.S. interests or persons worldwide. And they are equally concerned about attacks not only in the United States, but against Americans or American interests overseas. They don't know where he is, and they don't know whether these attacks could be here or could be overseas. Now, having said that, this bulletin, this BOLO bulletin, says there is no specific threat attributed to him. It's not like they've uncovered some specific plan. It's rather they've discovered that he is a key al Qaida planner. Now, the FBI is learning more about this man and has just recently discovered how important he may be. For example, Brian, he is thought to be a trained pilot. And as a matter of fact, one of his Arabic nicknames is Jafar, the pilot. U.S. authorities believe he was in the United States after September 11th, but they don't know where he is now. They don't know how long he was here, how he got here, how he left. They're not sure, or even whether he left. But they put a very high priority on finding him, because al-Shukrijumah is thought to be a pivotal figure in any further plans to attack the U.S., and investigators tell us this information has been verified by talking to captured al Qaida operatives who have been interrogated by the U.S.
Pete Williams, thank you for that from our Washington newsroom, breaking this story this evening. And all of this, the specter of domestic terrorism has been part of the national conversation in the days leading up to this widely expected war in Iraq. The anti-war factions in the United States had feared very acutely that this would perhaps set off a round of domestic terrorism. My colleague Lester Holt is at headquarters with an expert in this area to delve into this a bit further. Lester?